Hello, everybody. This is my first podcast in English. Also, is my first podcast in YouTube. So I'm sorry for the maybe we will have some trouble. And well, as I said, this is the first one I am making in English. Um, I've done a Spanish podcast without video. I am not very familiarized with how to make this happen. So I'm sorry if there's any trouble doing this. Okay, this is Spirit and Horses. Today we will talk about fear, ego, and the purpose in life. I'm making this in English just because I have a very dear cousin. She lives in Mauritius. So maybe you are getting to know me through her. And although she speaks Spanish, because she's Mexican, we thought that it would be a good idea to talk about these things in English and go wider in the things that I want to share. So that's it. Also, my English is not my mother tongue. So hope you understand everything I say. Uh, Everything as I would say will be from here, from my heart, from my soul, and hopefully you enjoy it. Also, another waiver: this this podcast or this thing is to entertain. I am not a therapist. I am not a psychologist. I want only to share my experiences, my reflections, my way of thinking. Why? Just because it's something that I like to do, and if something I say helps to make your life a bit better or to start thinking of another point of view of something, that's a bless. So, well, that's it. I'm broadcasting from Mexico City. I will be doing this in English and in Spanish, so maybe you will find some in English, some in Spanish, and we'll see how it goes. So, the name of the podcast is Spirit and Horses. Uh, I love horses. I love animals, but horses are my passion. I'm a lawyer. I'm a Mexican lawyer in Mexico. Um, but still, my passion is horses. I found that making or doing some things that we call in Mexico familiar constellations guided with horses, I have found a lot of magic, a lot of energetic connections, and I have seen people becoming more aware of why things are happening to them. Some of them recognize something that they didn't remember just because of this um, procedure that some people call familiar constellations. I like to call them like a frequency calibration or energetic frequency calibration with horses. I believe that horses are um, very connected with people when you do the right things. I am not saying that every time you're next to a horse, the horse is working with you or helping you. What I'm saying is that once you are becoming part of the herd or the group of horses, then the magic starts. Maybe you can do it with one horse also. Some people say that you reflect and the horse reflects what you have inside, which I believe you can. But it's not only every time you get next to a horse or every time you get onto a horse. I think you have to do a little bonding. Um, I like to think everyone who has seen the movie Avatar, when the banshees and the avatars got connected with their hair and thing, uh, then the connection starts. I think that that happens more or less with horses and with other animals. It's not every time, not all the time, horses or people and dogs and people or and cows and elephants and whatever. They not all the time are connected. But while when you do the right things, maybe maybe you can get a connection. And once you have that connection, then the magic starts. Well, once I said that, I'd like to talk about my last experiences. And let's see. Um, I also don't know if this recording will last. I mean, like if some people, I mean, now nobody is watching, but probably this is gonna be recorded, and hopefully you will watch it through the life through the day. Well, here in Mexico, last week we have a solar eclipse, so a lot of people is like having funny experiences and funny feelings. Some people say that the shadow made by the moon gives a lot of shadow to Earth, and that's why our energy goes down, so you feel the shadowy part of your soul. So there's a lot of people anxious. There's a lot of fear. There is a lot of funny feelings about the future, about what's going on, and also if you go to the news and things, you know that there's a lot of things going on everywhere. So maybe so here I well this eclipse happened in Mexico City. After the eclipse, I went to dive in ice with a pro. She's level 2 in the Wim Hof method. So we start doing a breath work, and then we got into a bucket of ice, like a jacuzzi of ice, a tube. It's a great experience. She's Lina Cano. She also Mexican. She just went back from Poland because she went doing her level 2 certification in Wim Hof method. And I have a lot of talks with her before the breath work, after the breath work, before the ice immersion, and after the ice immersion. And it's funny because we started talking about nothing when before we started the breath work exercises, and then we got deeper and deeper and deeper, and it's something funny. But when we started talking, all the these reflections, these I don't know if the word is reflection, but I got very deep in my own thoughts. Uh, and that's why I wanted to share everything with people, because the thoughts I have, I think they worth sharing. Um, this reflection that I want to share with you started actually, even though as I say everything started with this ice immersion this time. I went back to November 2022, 22nd, and then I started an experiment using myself as a guinea pig, um, and everything started with a question: what is my purpose in life? What I what did I come to this world to do? Uh, if you put those questions in Google search, you will find a lot of information on how to find your purpose in life. Ikigai, meditation, religion, mindfulness, your own story life or life story. And at the end, it's to find a way to wake up happy in the morning, is to find a way to think that whatever you do is worth waking up. Uh, so The thing is, I started that question and then I thought, how many people is fulfilling his, her, they purpose in life? That is, I've searched for some data. Only 8% of the global population meet their goals. That means that what they want to do, they make it. So we are around 7,000 million people in this planet. So around a little bit more than 6,000 million people don't fulfill their goals. So if I ask you for, just ask yourself this question. Forget about financial problems. Imagine that doesn't matter what you do, you will have the money that you need and that you want to be financially happy. Okay? If I guarantee you that, and I tell you now you're gonna do exactly what you are happy doing, and I mean, the answer can be I want to be laying down in the beach. I mean, doing something. So if you carry on doing what you do today, answering that question, congratulations, you are part of the 8% that fulfill or will be fulfilling his, her, day goals. Uh, the thing is, if your answer is no, if the answer is no, why not? And you're a part of the 82% that will not fulfill its goals or his, her, day goals. Okay, because there's another problem. If I tell you that doing what you wish for or like or love will get you into some financial crisis, then maybe you will say, okay, I love to do this. Since I cannot bring food to my table or enough food to my table or to have the life I like, then I will carry on doing this that I don't like very much, but gives me the money that I need. I don't know if that's the answer that you will do. I mean, if you ask your very inner self and say, let's have a little bit money, but be a sad person. Okay, I go back to the experiment. You don't know me, but I'm a teacher. I like to teach. I'm a good lawyer. And my passion is horses and animals in general. My first summer job was in a rooster farm. They were fighting roosters. I'm sorry, don't judge me. It was the 80s. I was 10 years old. So, experiment. Since November 2022, I decided that I will deprive myself for certain things for a whole month to get to know myself better, to prove that to me that I can be stronger than my weaknesses. I can be stronger than my taste, than my instincts. So I started a month with zero alcohol, a month with zero sugar, a month with zero judging people. Then I wanted to go a little further, so I started trying to go 1 month waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, 1 month doing daily exercise, 1 month of doing daily meditation, and so on. I can tell you after these 2 years, zero alcohol, happy, easy, zero sugar, easy, zero judging people, easy, doing exercise, easy, zero red, couldn't. Waking up 5 o'clock in the morning, sharp, my best month 23 days in a row. So I realized that even though I knew that all these things are good for me and all these things are going to get me into a better place, well, better health, fitness, uh, clear mind, etc., etc. I didn't do it. I mean, I started doing it very with a lot of power, but then I go down, and it's because I always have something like, oh, I couldn't got up in the morning because I went late to my bed because I have family in my house or whatever. You name it. There's always, I can always say it's not my fault, or I know I could have done it better, but this or that. These examples uh, is just to clarify that am I doing everything I have to do to achieve my goal and my purpose in life? Who will my children will be more? I have two kids, or who will my friends or my girlfriend will be more proud of? A plain gray guy who makes some money and lives like this, or someone that maybe some has some heights, then some lows, but is passionate about what he is doing. Um, I was on that questions, and then last Sunday I went to an equestrian Grand Prix here in Mexico. It's the Longinus Global World Championship Tour with my daughter, and we were there. We saw the show and everything. Then we went to, there's some stands that they sell things. So we went to a stand, um, a jewelry stand, and we saw a necklace with a heart pending on it. And the girl who was the artist said that she inspired that piece of art on a Frida Kahlo painting, in which Frida Kahlo is heartbroken because she got separated from Diego Rivera. Then through art, she fixed her heart, and then there's another Frida Kahlo with her heart fixed. Funny thing is that the broken heart, Frida, is a very Mexican style Frida Kahlo, and the fixed Frida is a very European dressed Frida Kahlo. And it's funny because she knew that Diego Rivera likes better the Mexican style, and he repelled, didn't like the European style. So she fixed herself around about art, and also she gets a little revenge. When this girl was telling us the story, I felt my eyes full of water because I was moved. And I realized that I was moved because of the passion that was involved in this story. The passion of Frida loving Diego Rivera, the passion of Frida painting her feelings, the passion of this girl inspiring herself doing this piece of art, this jewelry piece of art, in which we were moved, and the passion of my daughter saying, please, can I have this on my neck? And then everything were like clear. Because of the passion of everybody in that moment, the people doing the show in the Grand Prix, because they give all they have. They jump over 1.60 meters on a horse. The people that make everything that was possible to get those all together there, joined by horses. So say, and then because of those horses, we were there, and these artists are known because if it was because of that, the passion of everybody working there, I wouldn't have that touching moment with my daughter. I think that's clear. The trademark of the yearly Pixka is Pixka. I don't know the name of the girl, but well, this is the passion thing. So this going back to the experiment, this idea of getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning wasn't mine. It was Robin Sharma's idea in the 5 a.m. club. And also he says you have to do in that hour something that he calls the victory hour, 20 minutes of exercise, meditation, and study, which is something good for you. Once you've done that, you've been giving to yourself an hour of greatness. And he says that. Then later, I read another book, The 7 Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra. The first law of success is the law of pure potentiality. And it consists on remaining silent and disconnected for half an hour in the morning and for half an hour in the afternoon. During that time, you have to be with yourself. And what he says, and I can say that it's true, you become super creative because you got disconnected from your phone, from everything, and you got a much better way of thinking, creative. I have to say, the thing is, with all my experiment, I have given myself permission not to do it. And I am convinced that it's a good idea, a very good idea, to do these things. Nevertheless, I don't do them. And there's always a reason. I can tell you that of the 12 months, the only month that I don't set a challenge to myself is December, because of Christmas, because of my birthday. So I allow myself some things. Also, in the book that I was telling, the Robin Sharma book, I don't know if this one or I have read a lot of Robin Sharma's books, maybe, but he says you have to do something becomes a habit. I couldn't do it for 30 days. So it's not a habit. And I know that I should do it. And don't get me wrong, I am a very disciplined man. I wake up at 5:15, at 5:20, 5:05. My promise was 5 o'clock sharp. But I woke up at another hour. I almost fulfilled my promise. But it was 1 hour, complete 1 hour of very good things for me. I didn't do them. Now, returning to the purpose in life. What happens with fear and ego? I said a while ago that one of the questions I ask myself and still ask myself is, who will my children be most proud of? A father who is passionate about life and do what he wants. I'm sorry I go down, but I read something just to remember that what I want to tell. So if you look at me, it's something that I wrote to myself just to keep a line on what I'm saying. And I think the answer will be a passionate father, a passionate lover, a passionate friend. If I am not passionate about what I'm doing, then what is the point of doing it? Many years ago, I don't remember the author, but I read a book that is called How to Be Good. Also, everybody in the story ends saying it will be easier not to help everybody and to be only living your life. So we have to be very careful because Everything that we have around is we have to be good people. We have to fight for our goals, go for our dreams. But then when it comes to do the things, to walk the talk, not everybody does it. If today I decided for some reason to only dedicate myself to the podcast about horses, I would no longer be a lawyer. The first thing that scares me is that an important part of Inigo is that I am a lawyer. I've been being a lawyer for more than 20 years. So imagine I kill Inigo, the lawyer, and I become Inigo, the podcaster, or the fear and ego stop me of doing a lot of things. This podcast, the first one in Spanish and this one in English, has been in my mind for about a year before it started. I started the Spanish podcast the Spanish language podcast in November. But it was in my mind the November 20, 22nd, 22, sorry. So for 1 year, fear and ego prevent me of doing this that I like. Now I'm speaking in English, which is not my mother tongue, and I'm very nervous. This is the first time I do something like this. I don't know how it will go. I wish that it will help. Ask yourself, what defines you according on what piece of your personality or your activities? How many times do we hear so and so, the teacher, and so the financier, and so the lawyer or the accountant? But if we think about it, at the end, really is the job that tells us or define us? Because I would like more if they say Inigo Cantu, the rider, the horse rider, or the horse whisperer, or Inigo Cantu, the father of the friend of the partner. In short, I don't want to use these examples to suggest that I'm doubting my vocational work or the purpose in my life. I mean, the only thing I'm saying is, what are the reasons you are doing what you're doing? Or what are the reasons I'm doing what I'm doing? During the weekend, as I was saying, I had a very deep conversation with Lina, who gave me an example that I later tried to move a little bit, to edit it a little bit. But what she said was, when you are surfing in a board, you're on a board, and when a big wave comes, you have two choices: to go down the board and let the wave pass, or to get on a board, start swimming or paddling, get onto the board and surf the wave. Of course, maybe the wave will kick you down and maybe you can even die, drown. But if not, you will feel the freedom of surfing a very big wave. Of course, if you go back, you go down the board and let the wave pass, maybe nothing will happen. You will not die, but you will not live. Getting off the board will possibly prevent you from being knocked over by the way, but more likely, one of those as I said, this will possibly save your life. I moved that to a horse. There's some horses that I am very afraid of, because I know once you get on, it will be a challenge, or that jump, it will be a challenge. If you don't get onto the horse, the possibilities to fall down are zero. So if you don't fall down, you don't break your bones, you don't suffer. But you get on, maybe you will know the feeling of freedom, the feeling of flying, the feeling of riding your soulmate. Recently, we went on a horseback ride and I decided to take a mare that is very difficult. Of course, I could have gone down and have another horse, but I decided not to. The first 10 minutes were very difficult. But 2 hours later, I was in the best horse of the group. I was having the best fun I ever had. Fear could have prevented me to go onto the horse. Of course, I have fear. Of course, for a moment, I say maybe it's not a good idea to get on this horse because it's very energetic. But be careful with fear and with ego. Now that I say it, I don't know if I, I explain it as I wanted because of the language barrier, but these two giants, fear and ego, of course they help. If there's a lion and you don't feel any fear and you try to fight a lion, probably you will lose. But there's something that you can go over. And also the ego. Maybe there's something that you shouldn't do in that moment, or you shouldn't be feel that you are over anybody. Sometimes ego helps because of dignities, because of some things. But be very careful because these two, when they become giants, they just give you dwarf. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not saying that dwarfs are something bad. I'm just saying that you are little. Sorry about the dwarf thing. It's just little. Then, as I said, fear prevents you doing things. Ego holds you doing things that you shouldn't. Today, I read a phrase that said, "Not because it has cost you a lot of work to get there, you should stay where you no longer like to be." I don't know where this podcast is going, or where it's going to take me. I don't know how many decisions I will take. What I do now is that I make a commitment to myself, and that commitment I have I want to leave this world a little bit better than I found it. Not because of my children, but because of me. I'm trying to give them a lot of tools to be better people. But my real commitment is this world, hopefully, will be a little better because I was in this world. Today, I know that I like talking more with someone who has an absolute passion for what they do than with somebody that is just living or surviving. What would have happened to if Leonardo da Vinci, let's think about Leonardo da Vinci, wasn't a passionate painter, a passionate architect, a passionate botanic, a passionate person. And it's the best example, it's Leonardo da Vinci. Some people say, okay, you're a lawyer and now you're becoming a podcaster and now you will be come on, you cannot be that many things. Think of Leonardo da Vinci, think of Alva Edison, think of the great minds. They do a lot of things, different things. Gandhi, of course, was a savior, but also he was a lawyer, but also he was a son, a husband. Alva Edison found bulbs. Leonardo da Vinci, the helicopter, the Sistine Chapel, and I don't know what else. Of course, hundreds of times, thousands of times, maybe you will fail. But he who does little, they say they deserve little. So today I could say that there is no horse that I cannot get on. There is no matter that I cannot understand. There is no constellation because I didn't say I do. No, I did say these constellations with horses. There's no constellation that I do that don't give me some magic, some self perspective of something different. I don't know if this will help. Again, it's the first one. I am just also fighting with myself on reading and saying things, and hopefully this helps. it will be a pleasure and a blessing that something that I say today helps. Um, in Mexico City, this Lina Cano mentor, uh, she helps a lot of people getting into the eyes, doing the breath work, and follow her. I think in social media she's Lina Cano mentor or something like that. If you want to do a constellation, it will be impossible because I cannot do it online. Maybe, but I wouldn't recommend it. But find someone that does it wherever you are. And I will try to do this every Thursday, at least in English. I will do it in Spanish on Tuesdays and in English on Wednesdays. So share it if you like it. And my name is Inigo Cantu. This is Spirit and Horses. And hopefully this entertains you and helps you a little bit. Goodbye.